Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to report about game theory, bargaining, and sequential competition. To begin with, let us try to define first what do we mean by game theory. Game theory is a study of mathematical models of conflict and cooperation between intelligent rational decision makers. Game theory is mainly used in economics, political science, and psychology, as well as logic, computer science, and biology. Originally, it addressed zero-sum games in which one person gains result in losses for the other participants. So if we're going to analyze the definition, it means that game theory is a mathematical study of strategic decision making. It is used to find the optional outcome from a set of choices by analyzing the costs and benefits to each independent party as they compete with each other. According to game theory at the last part of the definition, one always loses and the other player always wins. To understand more about game theory, let us try to discuss the other concept of this game. Okay, for number one, it is a study of interaction between the different participants in a market. Who are those participants? It refers to the players. It may be an individual person, a firm, or a manager, or a government decision maker. So it is a powerful framework that enables managers to analyze systematically the ties among interactions between actors in a market and to develop appropriate competitive strategies that will be the concept number two. So in number two, it says that the objective of the game theory is to identify the optional strategy for each participant. Okay, for the third concept, it attempts to study decision-making in situations where there is a mixture of conflict and cooperation. So a game is a competitive situation where two or more players pursue their own interests and no person can dictate the outcome. While applying the game theory, of course, the players would encounter some conflicts, but in contrary, sometimes the negotiations tends to be more cooperative. Okay, for the last concept in managerial economics, it helps to figure out the best business decision to make. For example, you've developed a highly regarded bike shop in your community. A large neighboring community has a big bike shop owned by a rival. Your rival's bike shop is larger and you fear that your rival may be considering entering your market. So, dun papasok yung best decision making kapag ikaw ay nasa business. Okay, let's continue. So, dyan ka mag-isip ng mga strategies kung paano ka makikipag-compete pagdating sa business. At this game theory would be a big help kasi it will help you to decide what is the best decision that you can make in order to compete with the other players or participants. Okay, let's continue. Let us try to discuss some basic game theoretic elements common to all competitive situations. So, what are these? For the first element, it is all about the players and their actions. It is to have a strategic interest. The competitive situation must involve two or more players whose choices of action affect each other's. So, the first question that you have to consider for the first element is, who are the one who make decisions? So it refers to the players or to the participants. Okay, for the second element, rules of the game. So the question that we have to consider for the second element, who moves when? What can they do? Okay, so in applying the game theory, you're going to consider the actions that you're going to make and of course, the actions of the other participants. Okay, for the third element, it refers to the outcomes. So what do the various combination of actions produce? So it means that based from the actions, what would be the result? What would be the outcome? So those are the questions that you have to consider. For the next element, we have payoffs. So what are the player's preferences over the outcome? So when we say payoff, it refers to the final reward or a payment, or let's say the ROI, which means the return of investment. The payoffs refers to the number associated with this outcome. So it reflects the interest of the player. Okay, for the next element, we have the information. So the question that you have to consider for this element, what do players know when they make decisions? So in a business, if you want to apply a game theory, of course, you must have some information about the other players. So para alam mo kung ano yung gagawin mo, ano na ba ang ginagawa ng mga other participants. So based from their actions, you can plan your own. No, you must know how to compete with them. So information is very important. Okay. Sometimes our actions, we can rely from the actions or decision of the other participants before you make your own decision or actions. Okay. For the last element, we have the chance. It means probability distribution over chance events. Okay, when we say probability, it is the branch of mathematics concerning numerical description of how likely an event is to occur and how likely it is that a proposition is true. The probability of an event is a number describing the chance that the event will happen. Okay, and let us try to give the best example in applying the game theory is through bargaining. No, we have this called bargaining theory. So what do we mean by bargaining? It is a type of negotiation in which the buyer and the seller of a good or service debate the price and exact nature of transaction. Okay, so let us try to pretend that the pink one represent the buyer and the blue one represent the seller. Okay, so one of the most fertile domains for applying game theory is in the realm of bargaining and negotiation. Okay. So let us try to discuss the other concept of bargaining theory. Number 1, it is a branch of game theory dealing with the analysis of bargaining problems in which some parties bargain over the decision of certain goods. So, in bargaining problems, andyan na magsisimula yung mga negotiation. They're going to talk something. Okay. And for the second concept, it refers to situations where two or more players must reach agreement regarding how to distribute an object or monetary amount. So, in bargaining, there's what we call na nagkakaroon na ng agreement. For number 3, it is one in which two or more players bargain over how to divide the gains from trade. The gains from trade are represented by a sum of money, M, that is on the table. Players move sequentially, making alternating offers. So, for example, a seller and a buyer bargain over the price of a house. So, may mga initial offer na yung both parties. So, doon na magsisimula yung bargaining system. Okay, let's continue. For number 4, other concept, it allows for greater profitability and understanding for every entity that is involved in a transaction. When there is knowledge behind the negotiation process, then every entity walk away from a transaction feeling like they profit from the experience. Kaya nga, diniscuss natin kanina, one important element ng game theory is the information. And that is very important in applying this in a bargaining system. So, for number 5, it does not only mean price negotiation, it is a much differentiated and broader term. So, economists are interested in bargaining not merely because many transactions are negotiated, but also because conceptually, bargaining is precisely the opposite of the idealized perfect competition among infinitely many traders, in terms of which economists think about markets. So, hindi lang presyo ang pinag-uusapan dyan on how they compete to the market, and that is one very important na i-consider sa pag-apply ng mga game theory in a bargaining system. Okay, and one of the best example of bargaining is this what we call the collective bargaining. Okay. So what do we mean by collective bargaining? It is a type of negotiation used by employees to work with their employers. For the next slide, let's try to discuss the different types of collective bargaining. So we have four. So the first